So today I want to talk about killing your darlings. It's a phrase that goes around in the artistic community. It's basically you have to be able to know when something is not going in the right direction and cut it off before it goes too far. And that can be really difficult because when you're an artist, you get really attached to the painting or drawing, or, I'm speaking broadly, I'm speaking specifically, but this applies broadly. If you put a lot of work into it, it can feel like something that you want to nurture, you want to make it perfect, you want to make it the best that it can be. Unfortunately, this is kind of the gambler's pitfall, is that the more they put into it, they really want to get something back from it. And, I recently had an opportunity to experience this, which is why I'm making this video, is I spent about 3 hours making a profile picture. I wanted to have like an artistic portrait for it. I'm an artist and I want to have an artistic portrait for my account. So I thought, oh, perfect. I can paint portraits. I'm gonna paint a self-portrait. So yeah, I painted a self-portrait. It took me about 3 hours. Not too bad, because it was just black and white, and I even took a picture with a lighting source and had it all planned out, and a nice like Rembrandt triangle in there. I can explain about that later, but it was a lot of fun to paint, I'll be honest. So I put it as my profile picture. I changed my profile picture, I added that painting, and I just left it there for a while. Nobody really said anything about it. No one said that it looked a little too stern or moody or dark, but when I would see it, when I was browsing and just looking at other profiles, when I would see the profile picture, it didn't feel right. And I think that's because here, let me show you what it looked like. Yeah, at the time I didn't really think that it was too somber. At the time I didn't really think that it was a little too serious, but it was a little too intense for the feeling that I was trying to go for. So I realized that it took me a few days, but I realized I just didn't like it. I felt like it was giving off the wrong feeling, and so I just scrapped it and got rid of it. And I took a picture of kind of just basically this kind of environment, just with the nice rim light and the key light, and just a picture of my face, just like everybody else. Nothing fancy, nothing original in a way, just something that gave off the feeling that I wanted to give off. And that's the key. So that's something I really want to touch on, is the intention and the purpose of what you're creating. So for a profile picture, the intention and the purpose is that I want it to come across as who I am, and I also want it to come across as approachable to other people. That's the point of social media. You have to know when what you're creating isn't meeting the expectations of what you're going after. And so this was just like a minor example of that, but I've done it many times in paintings where I've been working on it for a long time and it's really not conveying the mood or atmosphere or feeling that it should be. And it's hard because you've invested into it, right? Sunk cost fallacy. You have to be able to let go. And that's really gonna help you to go a lot further in your artistic endeavors, because if you just keep putting into that, you just keep sinking time into that project and it's not delivering for you, it's gonna be a waste, honestly. Time is the most precious resource that you have, and knowing when to cut those losses and to start over, so valuable. It's so valuable. This goes into other things as well. It's a reason why we do sketches before we start on the final. It's so that we can do them quickly and not invest too much and get the idea and try to explore. Once we find a direction and we like click with it, then we can latch onto that and just go all in. That's what I love to do. I like the exploration phase too, but once I have a thumb, or I have a few rough sketches, but I'm like starting to get a feel like this is it. This is where it's gonna, like, I feel it. It's resonating. It's very intuitive. It's not a science at all. But once you can really get in tune with that and go along with that, that's when you're gonna create your best work, honestly. And it really is a gut instinct. It really is intuitive. You know when you're not really feeling it, or just kind of, it's not resonating, but you also know when it's clicking. And it's hard to give advice on this because it is an intuitive thing, but just trust your gut. And I think that's the best advice I can give, is just trust your gut. What you want, it knows what is working. Just trust it. And making mistakes is okay. I spent 3 hours of my time making that painting, and I realized that it didn't work. That's okay. It's not wasted. It was still practice. It was still something, I did record the process of making the portrait. Maybe I can turn that into a YouTube video and show portrait painting, or self-portrait painting. Same thing, I guess. Be okay with just iterating, doing it again and again. I love the craft of painting. I love the craft of drawing and rendering, and like choosing hard edges and soft edges and where to direct the eye. I love it. I can't see it as a loss because I enjoyed the process. It's unfortunate that I wasn't able to use it, and perhaps it will just go onto my hard drive and no one will ever see it. Or I guess they would have seen it for those 2 or 3 days, but that's okay. I have many paintings and drawings that no one has ever seen, and some that I just do for myself. But don't think that everything you do is precious, because that is going to really hold you up in your development. The key to being a great artist, and I'm not a great artist, but I've talked to them, so I think I know the keys because they told me. One thing that my friend, he's an amazing artist, but one thing that he told me that really stuck with me is that you need to be prolific. You have to be creating tons of work. And if you want to achieve really high levels of your craft, you have to be doing that all the time. And I'm starting to stray from the subject, but create all the time. And when it's not going in the direction that you want it to be going in, don't be afraid to cut it off, to kill your darling. And especially in the beginning, I know it's really hard to hear that you have to just cut that off and start anew. The starting point is always the hardest. I know. It's for the end result. It's for the end product. At the end of the day, we just want to have a beautiful painting, a beautiful piece of art that we can show other people, that will resonate with them. And if it resonates with us, it will resonate with them. So you have to be in tune with that. Everything takes practice, but your work will be so much richer for it. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that subject. It's just something that happened to me recently that I have thought a lot about in the past, and I just had an instance not but an hour ago of experiencing it and thought that I would share that with you. Have you ever had to do the same thing with your work? Have you ever had to cut it off? Have you ever had to delete it or move on or reiterate after you spent so much time on something? I would love to hear. Let me know in the comments. Like the video if it resonated with you, or if you felt like it helped you in any way, and subscribe if you want to hear more videos about artistic ideas and motivation and inspiration. And similar content to this, I hope to put out a lot more videos about artistic ideas. I have a lot to say. I hope that I helped in some way. Thanks. Take care.